What's up, guys? Ready to go live. We're gonna spend some time with y'all, some encouragement, play some games. What's up, my fellow streamer? How you doing, man?
I say we land here. This is awesome. I'm the jump master.
Oh, nice, perfect.
Here we go.
A little
It's
late,
long
but
drop.
let's see what we can do.
Something good this way.
Oh, that boy got purple. Come on, dude. There's a purple in the box. Get the purple in the box. Get the purple in that box right there. He's right there. He's waiting on you. You got it. Ace it up. Ooh. Good try, man. Boy, gave him the cooker. That was good.
Flexing, spending all your bread. I'm a giver. Underrated at this point. Started off with no shows, now we flew in top seat, top flame. I ain't never hop lanes. I was so focused on the job, then I got paid. First the king, then the things you can obtain. Worry about the team, we don't even speak a op name. Even when it dropped, I was going through a lot. Could've took a different route, so I'm proud of, but I'm not. Had my back against the wall, man, I probably could've stopped. It's some folks depending on me now, I gotta get this guap.
The championship is ours.
I ain't even trying to hear you talk about so-and-so. They was vacant with the vision. This is a subject I won't mention. Went to God just to listen. Now I'm back with a vision.
I'm not afraid. I'll never be.
Got angels by the legions. Spring up when I fall. I made it through the seasons. I do this for the city.
This is your champion. Follow my path to win. I'm the drug master. This time.
Here we go. Ready up.
Let's go this way.
What's up, Fluffy? Yo, what's up, everybody? Everybody's starting to pour in here. Little, so. You know what? Maybe I can find. Hey, what this? Yo, what's up, crowd?
Strike out. Charging myself up. Catching myself up.
Yeah, right.
Healing up. Contact with target. Firing. 45 seconds. Rings far.
Start to get the feeling I'm missing out on my healing. I've cast it back. Looking up at the
Getting shot at.
Right here. You guys got a soul revive.
Will I ever land? That's not optional. They won't take shots at the door. But God got me, yeah, my whole team. On the light beam. I know you seen the whole gleam. Cause we all got rings. Now we on the finer things. I was chasing out the dreams.
You made the right choice this time.
Now I'm breathing and weak. All my enemies, I beat them to sleep. Way too high up, man, I really can't even breathe. I know I seem to be defeated, but that was just cold feet and enemies. I made it out the trap. It's not in my league. Jetpack on my soul. Will I ever land? I
This
don't know.
is your champion.
Jetpack
Try
on
not
my
to blink.
soul.
You may miss me.
They won't take shots at the door. Jetpack on my soul. Jetpack on my soul. Jetpack on my soul. Will I ever land?
Let's go this way. Hostile over there. Target over there.
Better lies below.
There you go. Wow, that's cool.
I think I may have been spotted.
That's cool. Yo, what's up? I mean, he jumps a lot, yeah. But
Let me go. I've been going through so much. I swear these people let my throat. That's on me. That's on mamas. On my mama, I can't take no more, so miss me with that drama. Get your straight. Get your facts straight. Hold me down, I rise up on her like the tax rate. Keep my past straight. Never let fate. God been working, they gon' have to hold me back, man. And tell them, you can pick a side. You already know who I roll with.
oh, is your mic?
You don't want no problems with me. Get these shackles off my
I know what you're looking for. And then
Get ready to stitch him up.
breath is
What the heck, dude? Why do they keep doing this? Why do they keep making me jump master? I'm not even looking.
First blood. I see that coming.
Not even looking, and these people keep making me jump master. Like, late, too. Should start getting it myself then. Oh. Do what you can do. Lagging horribly. Of course.
Gotta get out of here.
Champion made a poor choice.
Hit him somewhere. I was just about to shoot hard.
This one hurt. Hold on. You got this.
Alright.
That was the last one. Nice work. You're not safe there. Catching myself up.
Like trying to bait me. Get knocked.
My buddy's over there just.
Heads up. New kill leader.
Yeah, ASAP.
Going good, man. For you.
That didn't work out.
Shotgun bolt here. Level 3. Barrel stabilized.
Let's explore this way.
Patching up.
Oh.
We're inside the ring. Got the
Punching a tunnel. Portal's ready. Hostile right here. They're out. Danger. Move.
Oh.
Get my grenade out.
Knock him.
Recharging my shield. Eyes are open.
Oh.
Setting a portal. Portal placed. Need to recharge my shield. Body shield here. Level 3. Recharging my shields. We're already inside.
That building.
Zipline here.
And we actually killed.
I'm taking shots. Enemy taken aim.
Looks like you can hit your range.
Need to recharge my shields. Reloading. Whole squad's down. We made the right choices.
Nice work.
Getting shot at.
Yeah, that's okay. Right here.
Recharging my shields.
Right here. Oh, I guess not.
Placing a portal.
Good work. We're inside the next ring.
Set the portal. Frag out.
You're being aimed at.
Opening fire. Recharging my shields. Catching myself up.
Oh, that reverse driving. That boy did the reverse driving.
Kidding? You're not down there with me, bro. I gave you a portal, man. Come on. Just don't get it. How did I not hear this guy either? Sneak up behind me. Where is the volume? That's my question.
That'll take. Hold up.
what happens. Okay. Here's what it is. Can't expect a random person to do anything.
Stay ready on that. Well, where should I land then? I would assume they're gonna press it. I'm on the other side of the door. Heard me.
What's up, man? How you doing?
All that matters, being the last one alive.
Have enough for a loadout?
This is your champion. You know what I look like. Come find me.
Okay, now
I'm the jump master. This time.
right here.
Looks like I'm the jump master. Hope you're ready. Let's do this, bro.
I have a challenge. Okay. Lagging. Is it lagging for you? Lagging horribly for me. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna die. There's so many people here. I can't. Netflix, yeah. A lot more than I thought. Sorry. There's another guy up here.
First blood.
Not sure where he went.
Last member's down.
He's right there. Almost dead.
You're in a kill
Lag was hey, that plate
You made the right
had
choice.
him while I was there and I was blasting.
Watch out. Never mind, Logan.
Like, they're on top, dude. They're all.
Yeah, I don't got any ammo, so. Right there.
Detonator here.
Right here.
Light ammo here.
Right there.
Ammo here.
Sorry, I need it. This is so laggy. Let's go to Skull Town. Oh, right here. Down here.
enemy over there. The champion made a poor choice.
Down there. I don't know where he was. He was right here, though.
This way.
Let's go. Let's try to push. Oh, he's right here.
Run and live another day.
Pushing me in the water. Dang it. I couldn't get him at first.
They try to set you up there, G.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to change the thing.
The loadout, right? Can I stop by? Okay, if I go
Just
to the
gonna leave it
loadout
up.
there, G, or you want to go by you? I'll meet you at the airport.
Splashing like a whale, yeah. Time to sail, yeah. They can't see me braille, yeah. You can tell, yeah. Climbing up the scale, yeah. Chipping Dale, yeah. Free my folks in jail, yeah. In the cell, yeah. Drop top, can't drop, don't stop. Hook shot, jackpot, hook shot, jackpot. Team up like astronauts. Can't lose my train of thought. My family's all I got. Little circle, polka dot. Hey, what that in my boy? That's a lot of faces, seen a lot of faces, ain't no way I'm racist, hit the block and shell, on a daily basis, boy you going places, they some pillowcases, you folk better wake up, hook shot, jackpot, hook shot, jackpot.
We will defeat all of our enemies.
With the right moves, I'll take this win. This is your champion.
I work hard for the money.
Dropping in, hang on.
First blood, and it's not us. Wonderful. Grappling.
Go get power right here.
Next ring's fought.
Using grapple.
At risk.
New kill leader. Watch for them.
Reloading.
Traps.
It's clear, boys. Start sniping.
You're being aimed at.
Down.
They've laid traps.
What? Okay. I did not miss a shot. I needed 20 damage. Okay, that works out. Thought I had him. Yo, 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 yo. We're gonna try.
Dang it. I want that headshot, but I can't get it. Oh, it's too far, dude. I can't hit him.
They say your boy got that soul glow, and I stay in gold mode. They say what you let me go for. How much you sell your soul for? Don't let them lights blind you.
Dude, oh no! What the heck?
I pray to God that your boy never
Did I
change.
fall off?
Until the day I'm done, I'm gonna stay the same.
I don't even know how that would be possible. I didn't press A at all.
Grind. I'm constantly reminded. All my words stays behind. And it ain't no rewind.
It make no sense.
Oh, about to shake it up. Like I'm throwing a tennis-fold. Let it go. Clear the table. And don't leave nothing on the floor. And the whole team with it. We ain't stopping till the whole team with it. You in the way. I'ma bring it right back in me a minute. Lights blind you. 'Cause they think it be a dirty game.
Over there, Tigo.
Pray to God that your boy never change. Until the day I'm gone, I'ma stay the same. Gotta feed the kids, trying to let them lights blind you. 'Cause they think it be
This is your champion.
Alright, Tigo, I'm
You
coming.
know what I look like. Come find me.
until the day I'm gone, I'ma stay the same. Gotta feed the kids,
This is awesome. I'm the jump master.
what you think we on the road for? Trying to make the whole world. Make it last, take the fold. And we ain't stopping till the whole team pop.
Here we go. It's a long drop. Fun.
They're over here. Up there. Press it to get that line open.
Over there.
First blood. Dibs.
Gotta get it.
Round one. Beginning ring countdown. Next ring spawn.
He said that's not friendly. Right behind us?
Here I go.
Oh.
Enemy spotted. Using grapple.
Attention. Hostile close. There is a new kill. Firing.
Watch out for the new kill leader, friend.
Last members down. One squad closer to winning.
Oh. Trying to creep.
Friends. Firing. Frag out. Look out. Grenade. Frag out.
Up top somewhere. Oh, they're up there.
Shot at.
What?
Took out an enemy.
Yeah, dude. Round by next.
We just eliminated the whole squad. Exciting.
Get him, Tigo. Yeah. The whole team is coming. Oh.
Giving my shields a recharge.
You quit. dude.
I'm the new kill leader.
Hit him.
That's great news.
Not my fault. He keeps falling. Is what it is.
Be creeping now.
He easily got him
You have
back in.
enough time if you don't.
Recharging shield.
Gotta
Repairing.
come enter. Oh, that's fun. Dude, I really hope they keep total just yeah, dude. Those snipers out. Go heavy, bro. Heavy holding.
I'm the new kill leader. That's great news. Recharging shield. Giving my shields recharge. Repairing.
Biz. So what's going there? Oh yeah, I need that.
Good job, me. Whole squad down. Using grapple.
Bows and like all three. Aaron Court.
Giving shields are recharged.
Yeah, it is. Party choice. Dude has like no like soulless. Almost like a baking. I actually be alive. Maybe North Korea.
Just a minute until recharging shields.
Helicopter at.
Oh, you're so good, dude.
Recharging shields. Only 10 seconds left. Cool. Giving my shields a recharge. I'm repairing myself.
Oh, they actually did.
Throwing Arc Star.
No. Aiden or John. Oh, dude, Tigo. Us is heading to prison with the helicopter. Oh, man. Oh, this is gonna be a big fight, dude. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Fell down? What happened? Oh, really? Oh.
Ready to go. Wanna fly, compadre? Let's fly.
This is your champion.
Everyone's heading to prison.
Yo, what's up, man? How you doing? Really good, man. Yo, no mic. That's okay, buddy. Let's go down here. Let's push back up to the Mirage. There's a team here. They're both landing in the same spot, so right out in the middle. Pretty good. Got no weapon. I think he's right here. Going in the back. There's a Gibraltar. He's outside. Yeah, he is. You want to play, Pretzel?
He also shoot me by me.
Huh?
Guys, I'm back.
Recharging shield. Mighty side good this way. Throwing jump pad.
He's gotta be here. I don't see him yet, but there's someone. Yep. Rush him. Miss my shots. Right here. Right here. Got a Valky. They just called in someone down on the bottom. Down here. You see a wingman, let me know. Oh, hire me for the wingman. Let's go down here. They're fighting down there. Actually, right here. See him? Coming up.
I like pushing limits as much as the next guy, but we gotta go.
Oh, I hit him in the face. Both top. He's almost dead on top. Running. His friend. Where is he? Oh, he charged! Oh, it doesn't matter. I got him. Oh. Man, dude. That was close. Did you see that? He says he carried you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm streaming all the time now. Every time. Paying off too.
Alright, we can get him back.
Let's go this way. I got the vault key. Maybe we can get a gold shield. Yep. Ooh. Oh, there's a purple.
He said, oh, that's you. Tico was ready to blast.
It's already looted.
Alright, Tico.
Did they just open it? I didn't even actually look, to be honest. Dang
We
it.
are still alive.
Oh. This is pointless. Are you watching the stream? I think it's like a minute late. Yeah, I think it's even later on the phone.
Uh-oh.
Cool. Oh. Yeah, it's not acceptable. Yeah, anything above 250 is more than enough. Especially if you stream, the faster the better, because you have such a high volume of bandwidth you need upstream. Your upstream when you're streaming is even more important. Negotiate what exactly? Oh yeah. All I know is usually the faster the download, the more you get. Like I have like a gig, but I get like 50 megs up. What am I missing? Are you kidding? What a choke.
Playing solos, man.
Not. Dude, how did I miss those shots? Oh, if it was the angle? No, we won. I just missed the initial shots. My wingman. He's almost dead. Nice, boy! That's my boy right there. Oh.
Yeah, when they get closer. Yeah.
Good job, homie. Woo. I'm talking. Ooh. What? That boy cooking them with me. I like that, to get a random teammate that just knows. Yeah. Yeah, you get a random who can equally play. Yeah. Yep. Me and Lil Cabbage Pants. It's Devotion. I like that skin too. This guy's got. It's the silver one. Yo, what's up? Who's in here? Who is it? Johnny!
They're gonna come out this way.
He's fun, dude, isn't he? I like him. I like playing duos with him, especially because it's much harder for two people to rush you with him. Like with three, you can kind of overcome him, but with two, you can wreck people. Yeah.
Somebody driving the rest got off.
I know why they mad, I can see it all. First thing back to the top is the rise and fall. Seen it all before, it's so far.
Got out this way.
Alright, let's wait. Let's just see where everybody is. Right down here. Let's go peek down there. Yo, what's up, all? Oh, another one right there.
Let's explore this way.
I'm gonna hit the geyser. See what's in there. Maybe it might be a Mastiff. A Mastiff in Devotion. Oh, it's a Kraber. Kraber and I'll try. I always do. Yeah. My question is though, where is everybody? We gotta be getting close to somebody. These gotta be like solos or something. Just traveled so far. Maybe they went up right here. See that? Zip line? It's possible.
The ring's close. 10 seconds. Using grapple.
Okay.
I can see that
Oh.
the ring's moving on the map.
Oh, there you go, buddy.
Over there.
Coming care package.
Go. This way.
Let's go this way.
Gotta be coming up behind him. Just did a 360. Is that him? Oh, that's a blue light. Just wait here. Someone's hiding. Probably here.
Might be something good this way.
They gotta be hiding somewhere. Honor God with my entourage. Michael Scott.
Guys, that's why I kind of like to leave a little early.
Dude, I bet you, are they hiding in the cave? Serious?
I don't even know if I
That's where they
can.
probably been this whole time. Watch, right when I get there, they're gonna like
See me?
Open the door. Approaching slowly. Dude, where is this guy? These teams. We've literally done a tornado around this circle. Went from the outside all the way in a circle. We gotta be getting there. There's no way this guy's not up here. Let's get ready. Get ready. We probably have a crib or two or something, because another care package landed over here when we were on the other side. Oh, here he is, here he is, here he is. It's right here. You rushing him? Oh, dude.
Oh, I'm creeping, fellas. I'm creeping. Oh, I'm good.
Oh, down here. Rushing up. Knocked him. No, no, no. Healing. Where is he? Yo.
Dude, I was creeping though.
Let's go. Woohoo. Boy, good game, my homie. Add me, man. We'll play sometime. I gotta play with my homies right now. I don't have my origin. I can't add you.
You are the Apex champions.
Good game, homie.
My heart gets racing. Yeah. I love it though, I ain't gonna lie. It's so intense.
Only had one chance. We did.
I know we don't like
That Pathfinder didn't see me.
behind us, but
I wish I would have shot him in the head, but worked. That Gibraltar, if one more rock would have hit me, I would have been dead. It's a perfect all.
there was like triple
Just
twists
didn't
we
kill
had to
me.
worry about. Just creep around. Oh, John there?
Johnny.
No, there was two of or one other team.
Modern Warfare. Sorry if he's loud too. Yeah, Tigo's playing well.
Yeah, it was a fun. That was a fun.
Johnny.
Had that house on lock.
Mama told me, mama, all the time, God is good, all the time, Mama told me, mama, all the time, God is good, all the time, 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 God is good, all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. I tell you, God ain't good. I be lying, low key lit, high key lit, low key lit, whole squad be lit, low key lit, high key lit, low key lit, whole squad be lit.
All right, Tico, where we going now? Wanna go to the dam?
Let's take this win.
Oh, you're gonna play her? Okay. I don't care. I just love him. It's fun.
Hello. Hello, dog.
Try not to blink. You may miss me.
Oh.
Alright. Well, good thing we didn't. At least our chances is pretty low. Cool. We need a Battle Droid Star Wars Pathfinder skin. We need one. Yes. Dad. I am dead. Glad you recognize my fatherly qualities. Look at that boy. He got gold. Oh, perp. I'm getting that. I'll get it. I'll get it. I got it. What the heck is up with this building, dude? That's crazy. Right here. I'm gonna try like to kind of rush in, but not. What? Oh, that's weird. Oh, nice. I got him. Another one out here though. Down two. Did y'all get the guy on the roof? There he is. Here you go. Oh, that's next to us. There's a purple in here, a purple Evo. Yep.
Oh, they are in here.
I have. Oh, I guess I can use this. They're right over here. Oh, I almost knocked him. Dang it. He's right here. He's thirsting me. He's getting my shield. Dang it. How did I not see them? Flew over there, aren't they? That lifeline's got a gold.
Right, Tingle. Can't make it to me, Tingle.
I would have cooked her if there wasn't 4 people shooting at me. What? Your second bullet didn't even count. You got him? That boy gonna bait. Okay. Just void right away because I think there's about this looking. Alright. Can someone just maybe try to grab my banner and just recover me right here on the house? You got a portal? Ooh, right there. Oh, nice! Nice! You can't have a better place for a longbow. Who's randomly shooting you? Look at this guy. Nice. Dude. Can you get me back, Johnny? Yeah, there is.
Yeah, you get real lonely here.
Yeah, they're coming up. Pathfinder, Pathfinder. On y'all's right side, on the edge of the building. Another Pathfinder's coming up. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they came up. And I ran down to get my stuff, and the guy was there. Alright, good game, good game. What was fun?
Yeah, we did.
Showing their teeth. Showing their hard work.
Made the right choice this time. This is gonna be a good fight.
Let them.
Introducing your champion.
I may be violent, but that also means I'm happy. I'm the jump master. I won't let you down, except by falling. Hold your breath. If you have a respiratory system. Is that how I do it?
Could have never rushed that, man. Oh.
Let's explore this.
Round 2. There's definitely people here, and I got no weapon. No
Threats are
armor.
coming right over here.
Where's that guy shooting at you from?
Yeah. Coming this way.
Right here. Yeah, they're up top. They're just all up top. Camping. Guys, some guys are running. Dude, are you serious? Get down, dude.
Right under here.
There's all camping up there. Right here. Okay,
Yeah.
going for him.
Down there and behind us, so we're surrounded.
There we go.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
let's get inside. Get inside. Gonna have to hold it down that way.
Another one? Oh, he went up there when we went down. Coming, I'm coming to help. Is there another one?
Someone on top of
Is
the
he coming up again? Another one? Come on, man.
Oh, dang, dude, there's somebody in here.
He's right here, on top.
Oh,
Lagging horribly. But that's okay. You got the res? Okay. Oh, can't even get that box. Gotta wait.
coming.
Yeah, I can't even have my abilities because of Revenant.
Hit him real quick. By himself.
Oh, this guy has everything I want.
Pay more. There you go.
Here he is.
Giving my shields a recharge.
I need light ammo.
And Tigo escape.
Giving my shields a recharge.
whatever you want to do, honestly. I need ammo. I have no light ammo. 40 shots. This skin is horrible. Both of them. Thank you. Dude, give me the ammo. Thank you. Where's my purple barrel? There was 3 weapons on top of the ammo. I wish when things were clustered, it would give you a toggle menu. Like if something was on top of the other item, like tons of items, it would like pop up a toggle menu like your loot thing. Yeah, instead of like switching and you get the wrong thing, then you try to switch again, and you get the wrong thing, and then you try to switch again. Yeah, that's not fun at all. There might be someone here. I need sights, so gotta find sights. Let me know. They looted here. I think they went through factory. I already have a
Alright, I'll head up to see.
heading towards factory. Yeah. What the heck? Y'all good? I killed this guy. You got him? Alright, nice. Turns around right there.
Hasn't even looted over here.
Dang it. He's third party. I'm coming. Naden, keep backing up. I hit him bad. Hold it. Dang it. Nice. He's rushing, I think, though. He's coming through. Got a nade. Dang it. That's a new team shooting him. 2 teams here. Oh my gosh, they are so hungry. They are right behind you. Oh my gosh. Go ahead. There's a whole nother team on top. I got away. I did get away. Yeah, you can. Just keep running. There's 2 teams, so they're gonna get preoccupied. I'm good. You can get to me. Dang it.
Back to that loadout. It does, but hey.
Yeah, it did. It's okay.
Yeah, that guy didn't take it.
Oh. How's your day been, Johnny? Oh, dude, I forgot to change my...
Maybe you can catch someone slipping there.
You said not bad? Watch my kids today. Part of the day.
Check the loadout.
Tired. Stayed up way too late to watch them.
I know what you're looking for. I'm in.
Yeah, you're getting surrounded at the ready to go.
Got that fresh sweet tea, boy. You doing good, Johnny? A little quiet over there, buddy. Guy? Got you.
Let's land here. Let's go.
I don't really care. 2 teams. Yeah, that's my favorite one too. Y'all landing in the. Yo, what's up, King? Wow. Oh, you landed here. Perfect, dude. Is he on you, Pretzel? You good? Can you run? You're good, you're good. They're not chasing you across the street, they're just shooting. Just sitting up there, look at him. He just shot me? And there's a random guy in the street? Kidding? Are you kidding, dude? What a joke. He shot me out of air.
But we prayed for this. We was destined for this.
There's so many people right there. There's at least 4.
Heads up. Utility. They laid traps.
Trying to do that person thing again, or? Yeah.
There's a team 2 in the distance. Pushing in. Oh, they're coming in from the city. Yeah, they're already shooting me. I'm trying. I'm here. That guy's almost dead. The Revenant. I almost died too, though. Be careful, another team's pushing in. Oh, I knocked him. Knocked him. Yep, nice. Ran right into my art. Here, you got him. What?
What happened?
Oh my gosh. This is crazy, man. No,
Dude, they're heading there
they're
right
still.
now.
I was already past it. They're still all the way up in the middle, just sitting back with the. Okay, we're good. I'm running.
Catch up to that helicopter.
Yeah, I'm running. Yeah.
Somebody shot one down.
Just get up here. Choke him. Get up here. We're good. I threw a arc star. Just choke him in though. Choke him. I got no heals. I got a thermite though. Just push him up. Let him come up to us. No. Knocked. I'm literally like 1 decibel. He's right here, Johnny. Oh, he's right here. Right, the last one, he's coming downstairs. He's waiting on you. Right here. Do you want to play Pathfinder? Yeah. And Johnny, you can play Wraith. I'll play Lifeline. Oh me. Yeah, I'm ready.
So much stuff here too.
All that matters, being the last one alive.
We going downstairs.
Yo, thanks for the follow, Jimmy. Appreciate you, man. Yeah.
Guys, let me know if people.
Alright, boys. Let's not drop that city. That's like the worst place. Literally is. There's just... we can get a lot of battles other places, though. Like, that place is just... I don't know.
Hey, there's somebody
I just
here.
don't like it. It's not even... I just don't like it. I'd rather go, like, Mirage than that place.
See that crate? This one. Uh-oh, somebody's here. Hanging out.
18 teams gone. Half the lobby almost
Oh, there's
gone.
another helicopter, dude.
I'm gonna go to the fragment, probably. Can land out. Here, let's just land here, push in. Cool. Let's just stay together. One team, we're going outside. One team's above us, but they're not going here. They're going straight to fragment. I think we're first. We're first. I got top. I'm on top.
Got one. One's downstairs.
Nice,
Dude.
nice.
We should trap him. Maybe there's more than one. I'm gonna buy it. What's oh.
Nice, man.
Up here.
I'm definitely
Yeah,
getting
right there.
Sentinel White Shield.
Get down. Let me get down. Sorry, man. I'm trying to get revived. Oh. Go to farmland. Go to farmland.
Okay. I don't see anybody. Crazy, because I can't see anybody. It's only one though.
Making contact with enemy.
Oh, wouldn't shoot fast enough. Dang it. I should have got his purple. Why didn't I? Just wasn't thinking. All right, let's go again. Yeah, that thermite blocked the Pathfinder. So I figured, okay, I throw some nades, block them with a thermite, get the res, get your banner. Should have got the purple, would have been the big play, pull back, would have lasered that guy. I hit every shot on him. He lasered me quicker with the LSAR than I could with the flatline. It makes no sense to me. How is the LSAR more powerful than the flatline? I don't know. Yeah.
I'm ready. Let's
Yeah,
get
he
the
probably
job
like, screw it, I'm out.
This is your champion.
Worry about it later, I guess.
I'm the jump master. Follow me.
I say we land here.
5 and well. 30, 33.
Enough lying around. We dropping.
Just land here. There's actually a lot of loot on the outside. And push in. Yeah, we can go here, 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 in. There's actually a lot of loot. Yes! I've been looking for this thing the whole game. Oh, there it is. The Peacekeeper. Right here. Are you gonna go back to the prison after you see somebody in the center? Is that why you're zipping like that? There was just one random guy that just came up to me. I don't know where he came from. I'm just looting quick. One sec. Y'all are pushing? Oh man. Keep pushing solo.
You and me now.
Got him.
Enemy down.
Yeah.
Enemy kill.
Top of it right here. Don't go anywhere.
You got him? Behind me. Yeah.
Oh. On the edge too.
Yep, yep, yep. They're coming on top of the building next to me. Hit him once. Are you gonna push? What are you gonna do? I hit him once. He's low. He's right here on the level. I think I hit him. Yeah, he's burning bad. Coming.
Guy just out.
Oh, you got him down.
Enemy kill.
Let's push.
Shot at.
What? Knocked him.
Enemy down. Recharging my shield.
Is he chasing you all the way down? Nice. Alright, let's get him back. Perp right here. I'm gonna go res him right here.
Let's explore this way.
Will be plenty of loot for you.
We're all inside this ring.
I love that Peacekeeper, man. Want to go back that way? Peacekeeper is just so good. Just, you time one shot, that's it. You don't gotta have 30 bullets hit them, nothing. It's just one shot. Get your chance to blow. break down the shield and then just let it go. Right here.
Hostile over there.
Yep.
Just giving my shields a recharge.
Oh, are they coming up? He's almost knocked. Whoa, whoa, he blew me off.
Oh, we gotta head towards down.
He's down here, low. Yeah, Octane's almost dead. I think he went up to the second level pretzel. Right here. I think he's right here. He's fighting him. Squad wipe. Go, boys. I'm gonna guard so y'all can loot or heal. You need to. Just get ready, get ready. Let him come to us. He's setting up his totem. He's setting up his totem. Let him come to us.
Guys, gas is coming, so you need to hurry.
Yo, what's up, man? Yep. Bait. Bait. Let them come.
Got kicked off.
99. Knocked.
You guys serious?
Got him?
Oh my. I'm headed towards downtown, Tico.
Yo, what's up, my homie? Here, right here. I got you. Oh. He's almost dead. Just zip up right away. I got
People on
it.
this building right there.
Zip up. The caustic somewhere. Just stay together. That's all we gotta do. Don't just. Just in case. Oh, I don't have my thing. What are they doing? I'm watching stairs. 55. He's popped. Shield's gone. Oh. I can't shoot this guy. He's lagging. Got him. No. Here, I'm good. That's the last one. Nice. That's the last one right here, Johnny. Johnny, get in here. It's the last one right here. He's up there. He's right here. Right here, caustic. Just keep backing up though. There's a whole new team pushing in. Heal if you can. I'm gonna get popped. Boom. Okay, just keep healing. Oh no! I should have not tried to thirst. You might want to get out of there. You're doing good, man. How are you?
Over here.
Nice job, dude. Yeah, he could have a self revive, Johnny. Be careful. That wraith. Nice job. He did have a self revive. Dope. Yeah, you just need to get our banners and get out of there. Better for you to stay alive than to try to kill them all.
I didn't see him. I'm not pulling it out there like
Yeah.
Dude, hey, Tigo. We're dead center, dude. So we're.
That's another team. Yeah, y'all should have just pulled out of there.
Oh, there's still people there.
Someone just got sent back. Alright.
Okay, there's people coming up, guys.
Alright, well,
Yeah,
where's she?
this is close. This way now. Towards you. Like,
Hey. Oh,
yeah, go
he's
by the
solo.
elevator.
A shooter. Move.
We're really close, Ego.
The no sound jump pad, too.
Oh yeah, the whole team coming.
What the heck,
Stuck
dude?
one.
No shot recognition. No shot recognition, though. Nice. There he is. There he is! That boy got that red. Nice.
Yeah, that worked out perfect.
Hiding in the building. Trying to make a way. He's gonna be right next to you to the right. He is, he is, he is. Nice, nice. Just let him go. There's one more behind you. The caustic.
There's still two more down there.
You're good though.
They're really close, Ego. They're two M's away.
Here you go.
Don't want to stay by the elevator though. Yeah, don't leave this wide open. Hide.
Guess I'm killing you.
Make it a little closer.
Oh. Waiting on you like that.
Come up here. Yeah, they did. Oh, they're really close. There. So good. We're still in the circle. On there, look. I'm gonna go revive them, Kiko. We're close to you? Yeah, get inside after we're done.
Top of the building. Oh, he bought it.
Close it in.
Tired. He's staying up as late tonight, that's for
Two
sure.
M's. Two M's. Kiko, you're gonna watch the elevator? What are you guys doing down there? I playing hide and seek. Three of them.
They're on the hill. Get him.
Okay, let's
That was
jump off,
perfect.
guys.
Oh,
Wait.
he's still not even moved. He's solo, he's solo. You got it. Solo. On the dolo.
Right here.
That boy, he was creeping. He was probably hit. There you go. That's pro. You can play pro rat games sitting in the background, snipping them like mouse on the cheese.
Try to revive me.
Charge it up. Charge it up.
Go up there in the old building.
There you go, boy. You got the energy.
Get me real quick. He's parachuting. He's parachuting. He's right here. He's right here. He's right here.
There you go, boy. Yeah, he's right there.
Sorry, I didn't
Oh,
mean
that
to
boy
swing.
got a
Sorry, guys.
Kraber. Good thing he didn't hit you in the dome.
I didn't mean-
That was almost game over for you. Yeah, there
Jump
you
off
go.
right at the edge.
See if you can hit him. Oh no, he's big, dude. Big boy.
Guys, down here, down here, down
Ooh.
here.
I think it fires differently with the energy on it.
Down
I think
here,
it
guys.
fires faster. Didn't hit him? There you go. 100 on him. Come on, Johnny. Ooh. Too bad it wasn't another 100.
No.
Bet he ran out of energy. Oh, we already
There's another one.
charged. He's coming in the bottom again. Another one is.
He's right in front of you. He's right in front of you. Oh.
Oh,
Guys, we almost. Dang it.
You're in their sights.
Good. I'm inside the next ring.
Enough lying around. We dropping.
Watch out for the new kill leader, friend.
Fast right over there.
Enemy down.
Enemy taken out.
I have been down. Not putting on the red light today. One minute, the ring is far.
What did you think you were gonna do, Camille? Against me? Take care, brother.
Even on the sideline, every single time out, I was trying to figure out the game. I didn't mind, even if it wasn't mine. Time finally came. I cried, but at least it didn't die. Ain't no one apologize. I just readjusted to the pain. I realized even with a coupon, I can never buy time, regardless of the money I made. A loud mouth try to turn my plate down. Tell me why people love me. A seatbelt on, on the ground. I'm orchestrating exits, then they take me out the game. The only thing that I can do is I don't let my window down when someone tries to tell me that it's me. And if you down, I'ma let you inside. Yo, Kanye, take me away. I ain't Kevin Gates. I get tired like a lace, trying to steal my joy, but I don't know how much more I can take. I don't have time for beef. I got way too much at stake. I learned how to levitate. When the levee breaks, I hesitate. When I see red flags like I'm Federate, they can tell I'm different by the way that I put on for my state. They like, where you from? And I say from a different mind state. I'm like, who are you? And what you here for? Where were you when I was on my own? That's the opposite of Rento. Playing games was never the intention, but what do you Nintendo? Jesus didn't die for us to sin though. I took all my feelings that were floating in my mental, and I burned it on the disc and got it popping like a pimple. So you can hate me, but you can make me, but make sure you pay me so I can buy a power like AEI. Still grind even on the side.
I was created for this, I think.
Figure out the game. I didn't mind even if it wasn't mine. It was only me. When the time finally came, I cried, but at least it didn't die. Ain't no one apologize. I just readjusted to the pain.
You're there. All good with me.
Follow me if you want to win. This is your champion.
Ayy,
seeing my skin on the news. I just woke up and jumped on my bag. Gucci belt on my waist, I don't side. All this shit got my haters so mad. All this was on my got from my dad. Had to call them snakes on my pad. Diamonds water on me like a bag. Man, I don't really care about the cash. I just cash out and don't check the tag. I just woke up and jumped on my bag. Gucci belt on my waist, I don't side. All this shit got my haters so mad. All this was on my got from my dad. Had to call them snakes on my pad. Diamonds water on me like a bag. Man, I don't really care about the cash. I just cash out and don't check the tag. Stay alive.
If you're with me, I'm with you.
I'm not afraid. Or might I be? Introducing your champion.
Team.
Contact with hostile.
Go here.
Let's land here.
Yeah.
Hold your breath. If you have a respiratory system,
Just stay together. I don't know, we could have bad chemistry in the beginnings. Yeah, that's where I'm going. I'm going this front door. Going left. Oh yeah, there's tons of people here. Not just people. Are you kidding, dude? Yep, he's right here chasing me. I gotta heal, dude. You got him down? Good. What? I'm knocked and I'm standing up. How does this make sense? I'm knocked and I'm standing up. I'm running. I'm knocked. See ya! It's my Jason. See ya, boy. Res me, res me. Can you res me? I got out of there, boy. Oh, that was hilarious. I can't believe that just happened. That was actually cool. We need to get him though. I got 3 seconds. Here, let's heal. We gotta go right in for him. Dude, I cannot believe that. That saved my life. It really did. I would have been dead. Ready?
New kill leader. Eyes out for.
Alright. Go. Yep. He's lagging. This guy's lagging. He's lagging so bad. Oh, he's coming out. We gotta get him though. Dude, they're so posted there. I'm gonna try. Oh, he's right here. These bullets are slowing me down. Oh no! It's alright. I'm dead. Just kill me. Go ahead. I didn't. It's just over, dude. I know. It's just. I just want a fresh start, bro. Already had to walk across out the map when I was down. Just want a fresh start. And Johnny's just sitting there doing nothing in a pub match. No, I'm just saying it's a pub match. You're just sitting there watching. That's like. No, I just mean like you're just chilling in a pub match. I want you to be in the game playing. That's why I always say in pub matches, like, if there's a chance you are gonna live to win it and it's like top 3, okay, but anything outside that, just go in, try to get the banners. 'Cause it's just not very fun watching somebody in a pub match with one person and the other 2 people are dead.
Somebody's in that car.
Introducing your champion.
Yo. Here. It's because the landing. That factory's trash. Right here. That's where I'm going. Yeah, they're only on Squad too. Just land on them and punch them out. But we'll give them a chance. The blue in here? 3 blues? Oh man. That boy got relaxed. Alright. I got nothing. Check in here. Probably gonna get the door open on me. Yep. Good? I'm running. Chasing me, huh? Good. Okay, no.
Recharging my shields.
What? Dude, I'm behind the door. I'm behind the door. What the heck, dude, is going on right now? I was so behind the door, like, I was so behind the door, the doors were closed. I did like a breakdance move, too. Dude, this is laggy, that's what's going on. There's like some spike in the lag here. Whoa, this is crazy. We're getting cooked all of a sudden. I think we're getting like foreign connections now. That's why. I mean, connections aren't good. I'm getting shot behind the door like that, and then I can walk while I'm knocked down. I mean, dude, I walked so far. I have never seen that before. Not like that where you could actually walk.
Oh, you want to go there?
Crazy.
All that matters is being the last one alive.
Get ready. Today is not gonna be easy.
Go to prison, then go.
This is your champion.
Yeah, I wonder if there's loot up there, Keith.
Go over here, dude. Let's go over here. Yeah. Should be a good job. Might be one. Oh, at least if we can get something, you know. This is a really actually spread out one this time. It's like nobody landing by each other. I'd rather just get some loot. I mean, our past 3-4 games have just been trash. Want to actually move. And I got shot through a door. Yeah.
Next ring's not close.
On to the bottom. Oh, take off.
The cargo box.
Jesus gave me mercy, why are you so gracious? You laid down your life just so we can make it.
Got a vault key.
Mine is for real, no faking. Count up blessings like
Got myself a vault key.
I got a vault keys. They're the best weapons, but someone loot this.
Might be something good this way.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna get off then. Go to bed. Good for me anyways. Got an early start tomorrow. Yep. Yeah, I've pretty much still just working full time, you know. My loot's okay. It's not like bad. Yeah. Dude, what's up, Helen? How you doing? You are ahead of me, so. Oh, looted, huh?
Rings closing in one.
Yeah, let's talk tomorrow. My mind is right place. I'm so exhausted. We'll need to have like a real conversation, and it's too late right now.
I open the box. Don't get your wedding present.
Dude, you should give it up. If I find a purple. Ah, there we go.
you're just floating in the air for a second. Hey, look at that.
That's right.
Listen up, the ring is moving.
Right. If you play Wraith, you can't coexist with any Wraith. I gotta be Wraith! I need the smallest hitbox and the most advantage every game. I need R99 here.
R99.
Oh, they're landing here.
Target over there.
Y'all are far, but just landed here. I don't see his homies. What he's doing. Right here. Hurt.
Just giving my shield a recharge.
Running. Popped. 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 Real bad. Did you drop one? Nice. Nice. Woo! Good job, boys. Good job, man. Yeah, I don't know. I know I just got like 100 on both of them. Perfect though. That's how you play it. Bait and switch. They were just surprised by me. They actually didn't see me. I was right here walking and they're just all like, meow. They were just so beamed.
Squad.
Pretty cool. Oh, there we go. I only saw one guy too. Weird. Might be a purple in there. Okay. You get lasered.
But second later.
Yeah. I'm gonna do what he wants.
Second later, you guys would have been cooked.
I could have given him the gold. The gold's better than the red.
Maybe check the TV station.
Fast heal. Okay. You're being petty. You make a name for yourself.
And you got the 50 cal.
Sometimes you just have to use others' help. I don't want the white Evo shield when I have a gold, the best shield in the game. Is he in there? Oh.
Heart's right there.
Rip. Oh, knocked almost. Hit me with a arc star, 2 of them. Oh my gosh. Here, just res me. Oh, never mind. You gonna res me? No. I'm already here, another team's pushing, just help them. It's only one guy? Oh, okay. Guy hit me with a perfect, any red dots?
I'm gonna have to load out, right? I go in the gas, so I go to
1 minute. Ring's pretty close.
Yeah.
Ring's not too far. 45 left.
go there now. There's a car. Let's get in here.
They're in the end of cave.
We're gonna risk it. Yeah, don't. Hit it.
We run? Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm good. Popped him. Just get inside Gibraltar did his ult. You can swap, there's purple in here if you need to. Popped him. Gibraltar. Dude, I'm gonna see if there's nades back here.
Another truck coming.
I don't see any.
Hurry, hurry, hurry. Hey, get in. Get in.
Oh, one.
Hurry up, hurry up. Oh. Good. And that is
Are they down? Up here? They're running, they're running.
Opening fire. Hostile right here.
You're good. They're getting pushed now from behind. Pop, pop, almost dead. On the right, on the right. Focus right, focus right. He's baiting you out. Yeah. He's hit, Johnny. That guy's hit. 60. Nice. I think they're pushing. Go, go. Got you. I got him. Well, that's what Lifeline does. You play her right, you know. He's cracked. He couldn't though. He was weak. Johnny was protecting us. That's what a teammate does. All right. Let's go out right side. Let's go out right side. Okay. Let's go. Yeah. Here, we can use this right here. Climbing up right here.
oh, two of them.
I'm making them spread out. And on the left over here.
I got the.
Yep, right here. Shoot the Gibraltar. He's almost dead. You got your zip. Can you put us right here? On that? Go. Oh, it's okay, it's okay. He's stuck right here alone. He already used his ult too, so I'm good. Focus the Gibraltar. Gibraltar. Knocked. Dead. That's good, that's good. Let's just wait. Yeah, we gotta see where these other teams are. Oh, they're stuck there now. They're stuck there. They gotta push to us. They gotta push to us. He's running. Yep. We're good. They ran this way. Other teams to the right. Nice, boys. I say we go over here, try to get this. What is this? Could be a massive. Let's just be careful because this team was over here. Oh, they called in. Right here, he's right here. I'm pushing drop though. I'm pushing drop right here. See if I can get something. Be careful, the other team's gonna be coming around train. Oh, nice. Evo. You want my R9 with all that? Alright. Oh. Alright, boys. Let's do this. Try to third party this. On the roof. Oh, he's white on the roof right here. This guy's almost dead. Let's push this guy. He's almost dead. White. Alright. Drop. Squad wipe. On top. Okay. Knocked. where my devotion is. I'm gonna throw the devotion over here.
Let's go this way.
Lucky us. We are all
Might be something good this way.
preparing.
Pass me that sugar. Let's explore this way.
Smart idea to stay up there. This guy, he's trying to play us, dude. He's a TTV. I knocked him. You got him? Oh, that's nice. Go ahead, do it.
We're all inside the ring. Good.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh. 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 Oh no. Oh. Leave him. Leave him. Leave him. Leave him. Let him heal. Here, I'll go next. I'll go next. Okay.
Getting some damage over here.
No! No, he's only one shot! Come on, just do it. Let him do it. Give it to him. Who cares? To you, Pretzel, it's up to you. Pathy versus Pathy. Just go, do it. You got it. Nice. Nice. Get him. You got it. Nice. You got it. One more. One more.
I think we should parlay, dude.
You cheated. Oh, dude, you broke the code. You broke the code, man. What was his name?
Champions.
Something TTV. Dang it, you broke the code. You broke the code. Dang it. Yeah, that was a good one, guys. Good game, guys.
I was really gonna head to person,
Oh
but
man,
then I realized
I'm really a Packers fan. All right, guys. Good games. Y'all have a good night.
how did he-